another episode of Stories from the Weight Room. Today is my part 2 on Robby Robinson. Pretty much it's all going to be I'm going to read an article on how he built his arms. It's in this magazine right here. Let me get that on there. Okay, and it says The Incredible Arms of Robby Robinson, illustrated book-length feature. Okay, that's the article I'm going to read. And without further ado, this is page 1 of the article, right there. Okay, and then they put a picture of Robby doing the side chest pose so you can get a good look at the arms we're going to talk about. All right. Frustration was about to claim another victim when the trainer of champions arrived on the scene. Now, Robby Robinson has a new lease on life, as told to Rick Wayne. So, Robby told this story to Rick Wayne. Rick Wayne was the head writer, and he was really, really good bodybuilder from the Caribbean. He won Mr. World. There's all kinds of titles. He was great. All right. For as long as I can recall, certainly for as long as I have been a bodybuilder, I've admired big, well-developed arms. Arms that comprise the thick biceps, round and high. Arms like Larry Scott showed in his prime. I also admired the arms of Sergio Oliva. They were like huge hams, and when I was just a kid and particularly impressionable, I yearned to have arms like the myth. In time, however, as I grew more discerning and could appreciate the little things that together make up the perfect arm, I found myself going more and more towards Arnold Schwarzenegger. His seemed to have everything you would naturally associate with championship arms. Arnold's hams were massive, well over 21 inches, that's for sure, but they also comprised high biceps. His triceps, though not quite as thick as Oliva's, were definitely more shapely and defined. Arnold's pictures in Muscle Builder magazine really turned me on to serious bodybuilding. They gave me something to aim for. I remember that I used to cut out his training routines and paste them up on my bedroom wall so that I could study them and learn. Arnold, as far as my arm training was concerned, was a fantastic source of inspiration. Here, I would like to say that even though Arnold's pictures look great, seeing those arms in the flesh at a live show, a contest, or exhibition was altogether something else again. When he flexed those arms, it seemed to me that his biceps talked loud as Muhammad Ali in the old days. The muscle rose high and proud, yes, but there were all sorts of things going on in the striations below the biceps. The brachialis stood there in a challenging pose, clearly defined, yes, and the balance of that arm, the balance of triceps and biceps really had to be seen to be fully appreciated. And yet I set out to build even better arms than Arnold Schwarzenegger ever had. True, I well remember that in the early days of my training, I began practically every workout with arm work. I didn't know it back then, but I was indulging a Weider principle known as the priority system. I'm going to show you pictures from this page. It's just got Robby doing his exercises, by curls and tricep push downs, concentration curls. Okay. Unwittingly, I was back here, sorry. I was showing my arms when I was bombing my arms when my energy level was at peak, when I was still full of enthusiasm. My arms responded quickly. In next to no time at all, they were pushing 18 inches on the tape measure. But too much of a good thing has never done anybody any good. The result was that my arms just stood out at the expense of other just as important body parts, and I paid the price at numerous contests. As I grew smarter, that is to say, as I continued to read Muscle Builder, I began to see the folly in my way of training. I had taken a particularly good training idea and used it badly. In other words, I should have applied the Weider priority principle to other body parts too, and not kept it merely for use on my favorite muscle group. I learned to appreciate the wisdom in devoting as much time to training my back, chest, legs, and so on as I gave to arm work. But that's another story. Perhaps because my arms grow so quickly, I somehow took the idea into my head that the more exercises I use for my biceps and triceps, the larger my arms would grow. I am a naturally hyper person. My nervous energy is amazing. I simply can't sit still, and I'm always like a bomb about to explode. I've always got to be doing something. Doing set after set of up to 10 arm exercises per workout was normal for me at one time. I learned to cut down to about 6 movements, that is, 6 for triceps and 6 for biceps. And I did at least 12 repetitions per exercise. Sure, it worked for a while. Then as my workouts became more severe in my attempts to take the top bodybuilding titles, I was forced to cut down still further. Now I was doing 4 exercises for my biceps and 4 for the triceps. But talk about sets and reps, I must have been doing 10 sets of 12 for everything. So now you know why every time the Mr. Olympia rolled around, I ended up out of shape. Even though I never allowed myself to miss even a single workout. My arms by this stage had earned a reputation quite their own. Some people were even saying that I had better arms than either Oliva or Schwarzenegger. But they both were Mr. Olympia winners. I was not. To be quite honest, I was at my wit's end. By the time I appeared in the 1978 Mr. Olympia event, I had hit such fantastic shape for the Night of the Champions contest in New York. Everyone, including myself, thought 1978 had to be my year. Then I appeared in the World Cup competition, and even though I think I hit devastating form, some little voice in my head kept warning me disaster was just around the bend. I knew in my heart that I was beginning to peak out, a whole eternity too early, in fact. So I entered the Mr. Olympia, not nearly in the shape I was for the New York show. The fact that I was running a high fever didn't help, of course, but even before that, I was fully aware I had flown right past my best form. Afterwards, I told myself I would have to discover some way to peak out precisely on time, as Frank Zane does every time. Frank might appear in poor shape before the Mr. Olympia contest, but bank on it, he'll be in his very best form on the day of the contest. No easy feat, let me tell you. For weeks after the Mr. Olympia 1978 event, I racked my brain for a solution to my problem. Why was I always peaking out ahead of time? And to be quite candid, I could not come up with any answer that made sense. Some friends said I was sticking too long to my low carbohydrate diet, but I knew that couldn't be the answer. I had taken great care with my nutrition in 1978. Others suggested the somewhat bloated look was the result of certain prescribed medicines I take for my heart problem. That didn't make sense either, for I had been in super shape for the New York show, even though I had not stopped taking the medication. And then Joe Weider dropped by the gym one evening for a workout with me. As it turned out, this was my arm training day, and together we went through the pumping motions. Afterwards, Joe called me aside. "Is this the same workout you've been doing for your Olympia preparations?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "I do 4 biceps and 4 tricep exercises for 10 sets each." "How long have you been doing this routine?" 2 years or so, I said. "Great, huh? Great for leaving you burned out. We worked pretty fast, and still it seemed to me we took over an hour to complete the session. When you're down on your energy foods at contest time, I can see clearly why this routine of high sets and reps would produce a soft, bloated look." "But Joe, I don't understand. The high reps should help burn off excess fat." "True, particularly if you watch your caloric intake, but do you realize you are also forced to train with pansy weights when you're into that many exercises, reps, and sets?" What Joe was saying to me was this: the way to build championship form is through handling continuously heavier poundages during workouts. If a guy is too tired from too many exercises, reps, and sets, then he won't be able to use the heavy weights so necessary for muscle stress and growth. I had been burning myself out mentally and physically, even without even knowing it. I may have thought I was taking tough, productive workouts, but all along, all I was doing was taking longer and longer workouts, which don't add up to the same as productive workouts, if you get my meaning. So for the last month or so, I have been taking Joe's advice. I have cut my exercises down. Now I am doing just 3 exercises for my biceps and 3 for the triceps. And I have also cut down drastically on the number of sets and repetitions while increasing the weights and the intensity of every movement. Almost immediately, the results were astounding. Now my training sessions last for no more than 1 hour, at the end of which I'm still high on energy. Even though it's obvious that my muscles have had a thorough going over, yes, Joe Weider did it again. Now, just before I outline the exact arm routine I now follow, let me make a few very important points. Big arms have always been most attractive to muscle fans. It is my belief that Frank Zane would be a far more acceptable Mr. Olympia, and I am not putting him down. He deserves to be Mr. Olympia in 1978 if he were just 2 inches larger in the arms. Sergio, Franco, and Scott, Arnold too, of course, all had massive arms. But you should never train your biceps and triceps at the expense of other body areas. In other words, train your arms very hard, but give similar attention to your chest, back, and legs. Some guys get so carried away with sheer arm size that they are not above eating their way to larger bicep measurements. Well, let me say that sort of thing is nuts, for squirrels only. It makes absolutely no sense at all to sport 18-inch arms that are made up mostly of excess fat. You build large and muscular arms only from training with heavy weights and making certain your reps and sets are not so high that you are forced to train with light weights. You should hit a happy medium. Let the stress come from handling progressively heavier poundages, not from doing 15 sets of 20 repetitions per exercise. So let us see what I have been doing since I spoke with Joe Weider. In the first place, I have cut my arm training to just 2 sessions a week. I train my biceps and triceps on the same day as my shoulders, and now I do just 3 exercises for the biceps and 3 for the triceps. Some days I begin the routine with shoulder work, and on other days I start off straight with my arm exercises. The reason? If I consistently train my arms first when my energy level is at peak, then my shoulders would never get as good a workout as my triceps and biceps. By giving the shoulders due attention, training them as hard as I train the arms, they will respond in the same fashion as my triceps and biceps. Right? My first arm exercise is the barbell curl. I start off with a weight that I can handle without any cheating. Without any cheating movement for 6 repetitions. With that weight, I do 8 reps. In other words, I have to force out the last 2 reps with a slight cheat. I need not tell you that while there is a looser style involved during the last 2 reps, it is nevertheless a controlled action that not for 1 minute amounts to swinging the barbell and then letting it drop back to starting position. The first 6 reps are done in perfect concentrated strict style. Then I give the weight a slight swing to get the bar up to a height just below my belt buckle. Then I lean back slightly and curl the weight up to my shoulders. Another very important point, I do not relax the biceps when the bar is at shoulder height. I keep the muscle flexed, as if I were doing a side chest pose. Then lower slowly to starting position. This continuous tension places much stress on the biceps, and it also teaches you muscle control. I rest just long enough. Alright, well, I'm going to stop there, because it's like the Sergio article. He's just going on about his workouts. But he's right, though. Heavier weights, less repetitions, that's how you build big arms. And Robby had great arms. All right, well, thanks for watching. Have a good day.